Hi, and welcome back to One Step at a Time Farmstead. I'm Lucas, and I'm so happy to have you join us on our journey. So, in this video, we are going to start brewing our first fruit wine. Join me as I take you through the process. First things first, and that is to clean and sanitize all the equipment that we are going to use. I'm going to use normal dish soap and hot water to clean and sanitize, just to show that you don't need any special products or equipment in order to do it. Dishwashing liquid or dish soap and hot water, perfect, just as good as anything else if you clean it properly. Okay, so firstly, my fermentation vessel. Make sure I get in everywhere. All the tight corners and everything. Okay, the lid. This lid, you'll see I've got a submersible heater running through it. And that is just that when I do a fermentation in the winter time, it's to keep my water level at the right temperature to, for the yeast to be active. I'm not going to use it now. But I just ensure that everything is clean as well. You don't need your submersible heater in summertime, but it is advisable to put one in if you do it at winter time. Otherwise, if you can have your temperature at about 22 degrees Celsius, I'll just have a pop-up of what that is in Fahrenheit. But yeah, about 22 degrees Celsius. To start off your fermentation, the moment your yeast starts working, you can switch it off because the yeast will produce its own heat. But it does help if it gets really, really cold, like freezing below zero. In winter time, it does help to have a submersible heater within your solution. Otherwise, you can also just put your container on one of those electric heating pads. It's also very cheap, but I find that the submersible heater does a great job. I also just want to make sure that I clean the cable so there's no surprises. Okay, and that's it for the fermenter. The other equipment that I'm going to use is my bubbler, my tube cylinder, and my hydrometer. Just be very careful with that. And I might also use a scissor to open the packet of yeast, a knife, and a spoon to stir. with the hydrometer, just be very careful. Make sure it's clean and sterile. And back into the container you go. Open the screen. One more thing that I might use is just my measuring jug. And that's it. Okay, so I'm just rinsing out the soapy water, or the majority of it. Okay, so we've got our equipment clean. And our work surface is clean. Just want to dry up here. Okay, and what I've got here is my pot of water that I boiled yesterday that I'm going to use. And the first thing that I want to do is to start activating my yeast. So I take about a cup of water. Perfect. I can put the water aside. And what I like to do when activating my yeast is to just put a dash of my product that I want to ferment into the wash as well. The reason why I do it is as the yeast wakes up, it's already got some of the solution or some of the wash that I want to ferment in there. And it will start feeding on that. So that, okay, let's put it that way. You can activate your yeast in just plain water. But when you then add it to the solution with all those sugars and stuff, it might undergo a bit of stress. Or some might say that it will shock the yeast. So it will take time to actually start being active within your fermentation, because it first needs to adapt to the new environment. Because you take it from pure water and put it into a high sugar solution, and it undergoes that bit of shock. But if you wake it up, if you wake up your yeast, which is in a dormant state at this moment in dry yeast, if you wake it up and it's already got some of that solution where you want to add it to in the environment where it wakes up, then it doesn't undergo that shock, so it won't cause any off flavors or smells. I don't know if it's true. It works for me. It makes sense to me. But if it's an old wives' tale or not, I can't tell you. But that's the way I do it. So I'm not saying it is a rule. It just makes sense to me. So as they wake up, they'll have a bit of a breakfast ready for them. I also have to say that this packet of yeast I've had it for about 3 or 4 years. I see the best before date on here is February, 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 Feb 2022. So it will be quite interesting to see if it's still in a dormant state or is it dead. But according to what I see, it's already starting to foam on the edges. So seems to me like it's still alive. I just slightly want to... Oh yeah, you can smell it already. I can tell you one thing, it's hungry. Okay, and we just put this aside for the time being and let them wake up. The second thing that I'm going to do is to take a gravity reading on my juice to determine how much fermentable sugars or possible fermented sugars are in the solution. I wanted that 100 milliliters. Give it a bit of a spin to make sure that there's no air bubbles clinging to the side of the hydrometer and influencing the reading. Oh, there's a bubble that went up now. So okay, and the reading that I get here is I wonder where's my glasses. So the reading that I get on here for the original gravity for my juice is 1.040, which then gives me the potential alcohol by volume of about 5% if it should ferment out completely. Okay, so if we use it just like that, it would make an excellent cider. Lower alcohol volume, but wine is between 8 and 14 or 15%. Some go up to 18%. So we want to bump up the ABV of this juice a bit. The sugar, we want to bump up the sugar content of this juice a bit in order to raise the potential alcohol by volume to about, I'll be happy with about 12%, because I don't want to put this yeast under strain, under stress. So what we can do is to just add normal table sugar. Okay, so I have an original gravity reading of 1.040 from my juice, which will give me about 5% of potential alcohol by volume. Now, perfect for a cider, but I want to bump that alcohol volume up a bit to about 10 to 12% for it to be a wine, which means I will add some sugar to the juice to form the must. That process we call chaptalization. That just means you add sugar to your wash to bump up the fermentable sugar content that is in there, and after fermentation give you a higher alcohol by volume yield in the wine. So my desired gravity is 1.090, which will give me plus minus 12% alcohol by volume. Using the Chaptalization calculator from Vino Lab's website, you just put in your current gravity, your desired gravity, and the volume of your must, and it will work out how much sugar you need to put in. So according to them, I need to put in 1.05 kilogram, 1 kilogram and 50 grams. Okay, I'll do the whole American imperial conversion thing somewhere on the screen, you know, with temperatures Celsius to Fahrenheit and kilograms to pounds. I don't know why you don't use the metric system, it's so much easier. But fine, be weird. Be the Americans that you want to be. Sorry. Just be different. Why not? So, okay, I've got a kilogram bag of sugar ready. I'm not going to add that additional 50 grams. Yeah. Why? It will be close enough. So that I will add to my juice. So with the fermentable sugar content, you know, the gravity of the juice being lower than what I expected, I'm not going to even need to add water. So I discarded my water, and I'm going to use the pot, quickly melting my sugar into the solution and then add it to the rest. I'm going to add the sugar to the pot. And this one that I already opened, I'm going to dump this 2 liters in here. Going to stir it through, maybe heat it up a little bit just to get that sugar dissolved. Maybe not even. I can smell the yeast doing its thing. Get that CO2 bread dough smell from it. So yeah, it's active. Can already see it starting to foam. My daughter cooked last night, so excuse the oven being a little bit messy. Teenagers. And I was too lazy to clean up this morning. Well, it seems like all the sugar is dissolved. I actually didn't need to heat it up. It's actually still cold. But it seems like all the sugar granules have been dissolved. Just want to make sure that this tap is nice and tight. We don't want any leaks. And carefully transfer it to the fermentation vessel. There's a little less than a teaspoon of sugar. So we'll just wash that out. There we go, all the sugar is out of the pot. Okay, I'm splashing on purpose, and that is to get some oxygen in here, because your yeast needs oxygen to start off. But after it started, you want to eliminate all oxygen. And there we go. Okay, let's just quickly mix it through nicely and incorporate some oxygen in there so we can actually mix it quite vigorously. Okay, this is why I choose a vessel with a tap. Because now without any problems, I can take some of this must to take a gravity reading to see if we hit the mark. Okay, so it's somewhere in the table wine range I can already see. Now I've got a gravity reading of 1.082. Now, so I've got a reading of 1.082, which will give me about 10.5% potential alcohol by volume. So let's just write, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to document my original gravity. So this will now be my original gravity. Original gravity 1.082 equals plus minus 10.5% alcohol by volume. Okay, I document everything. I'll make a label and stick it on here so that we can keep track of everything. I'll rather go with a little bit of a lower gravity and alcohol. Okay, I will rather go with a little bit of a smaller gravity or of fermentable sugars, which means I will maybe get a little bit lower alcohol by volume, but it won't put my yeast under strain and not cause any off flavors and stuff like that. Also, I could add more sugar with water and fill it up to the 10-liter mark over here. But I'm happy with this headspace, and I'll rather keep it, with just the juice to get that full flavor of the juice instead of, too much of a sugar sharpness kind of thing in the wash. I'm not going to distill this. If I distilled it, no problem. But because I'm making a wine for my lovely wife, I'll rather keep it to the natural flavors. As you can see, the yeast foamed up nicely. It seems to be nice and awake. They already seem quite happy. So I'm just going to stir this through again. And add it to my must. Now this is called pitching the yeast. Very scientific, no? One last thing that I want to do is just add about a tablespoon or so of chopped up raisins. The raisins will also just ensure that the yeast has, you know, all the nutrients and stuff to snack on. In a fruit wash, it's not really that necessary. And I mean, you can go with all kinds of yeast nutrients that you buy. But again, I want to keep it as simple as possible. I remember my grandma, when she made ginger beer, she would always add raisins. And before she served it, she would always remove the raisins from the ginger beer. And I could never understand why. And today I understand it's just so that the yeast has additional nutrients. I think that is enough, you know, to live on. It's about a teaspoon, maybe a bit more. But you don't need a lot. It's not there to flavor the wash or anything. It's really just to add some nutrients. Although in a fruit wash, there is normally enough nutrients from the fruit for the yeast to consume. Although this is not juice from freshly picked fruit or whatever, it's store-bought. So I would rather, you know, put in a couple of raisins just to make sure. I don't like raisins. Okay, lastly, we seal off maybe over tighten it a bit. We seal off our fermenter, and I'm gonna, there's already one, gonna put the bubbler in its place. Just need to put some water in. Okay, So the bubbler filled to the mark. With water to create the airlock. I think what I'll do is I'll just add some food coloring dye in the water so it's easier to see, especially on camera. Okay, I would have put some food coloring in the bubbler, but my wife reorganized our pantry and she put it somewhere that I can't find it, but found some Jensen violet in the medicine cabinet, so I'll just use a bit of that. Really a little bit of that. Let's see if I can do this. Too late. Stained my finger. This stuff is potent. I use a Jensen violet on open wounds or something if our animals might get hurt. My daughter uses it to color her hair. Teenagers. Don't spill, don't spill, don't spill. I said don't spill. There we go. Now you can see a little bit better. Okay, now all that is left is to quickly clean up, just as quick as we did when we sanitized, to get all the sugars and stuff off of your equipment and to keep your wife happy. Don't leave it for your wife to do. She might enjoy the wine, but she won't enjoy cleaning up after all your spills. Yeah, and then we just wait for this to start bubbling. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and put it on the shelf over there and let it do its thing. I am not going to use the heater though. It's not really warm today, but I'm sure that it's warm enough for this fermentation to take off, and I want to prove that you don't need any special equipment or stuff to make a nice stable wine at home. So you see, what will happen is as the yeast start fermenting, the sugars in our must it will produce alcohol and CO2 gas. The CO2 gas is heavier than oxygen, or the oxygen in the air, so it will slowly start pushing firstly the oxygen and air out and leave a layer of carbon dioxide hanging above the surface of the wash, and that will also ensure that it won't ruin your fermentation. As the gases escape through our airlock or bubbler, like I used to call it, it will push those the liquid up and start bubbling through. I didn't just do that. And there it is, as quick and as simple and as easy as that, to make your wine and to clean up. It is now 11:30 in the morning, so as soon as I see any action on the fermentation, I will record that and let you know as well. Okay, so our bubbler is close to bubbling for the first time, and it's now almost 5:30. Let's see if we can see the first burp. But I mean, you can see that there's positive pressure in our airlock at the moment, and it's keeping us in suspense. Okay, so yeah, during the night, the fermentation started going crazy, very active. You can see there was some foam buildup and the bubbler buildup, and eventually, yeah, it splashed through, and you could see the wall at the back got splashed with all the yeast activity there. So it's a bit of a cleanup, but I'll quickly take the bubbler, just rinse it out, wash it, or I can take another one and put it on quickly. But yeah, fermentation is active and everything seems to be going quite well. Okay, I just took the fermenter off of the shelf quickly. Here you can see how actively and foaming the yeast was. The foam pushed up basically, yeah, to the lid through the airlock, into the airlock, and then came out on the side like that and just trickled down onto the lid. How active it really was. You can see all that dye from the gentian violet that splashed against the wall. So I've quickly got a wall to wash and clean the fermenter on the outside and replace the bubbler, the airlock. This is why headspace is important. I've got over 2 liters of headspace here in a fermentation of 8 liters, and it's still bubbled over. So what I do now is I'm just going to quickly clean it. I'll have got some sanitizing wipes here. Just wipe the lid off and I'll replace the bubbler with another one. To take the bubbler out now won't really do anything. It's not that I'm introducing air now, because there is CO2 bubbling up from the bottom, so it actually pushes gases out, so air won't come in. So don't be too concerned at this moment. Luckily it didn't spill too much. You can already see the positive pressure, and there's your burping, your bubbling. So not too much of an issue to correct. If I may ask you a big favor, please like and subscribe this video, share it with your friends, and any questions, please email me. I'll add my email address here at the bottom, or pop a question in the comments. I would really love to be more interactive with you guys, and respond to you. It will keep me busier. It will keep me a lot more focused. There are things going on. In the garden is going off perfectly well. But yeah, I really want this channel to grow. The only way that I can do it is to ask you to please like, subscribe, share, and please make some contact. I really want to get in touch, just say it. Even if you've got some criticism, quite on there. Let me know, speak to me. I enjoy having contact and a conversation with people. And it's one thing if you watch the video, but it's another thing if we actually interact. And then I know at least I'm reaching somebody. Or even if I'm boring you to death, tell me, listen, dude, you are boring me to death. But at least then I know. Okay, so Thank you for spending the day with us. I will move over into the second video now, so you can, just follow on that. But I'll cut this video off here and say thank you for spending time with me. It's a joy. It's something that I enjoy doing. And yes, may God bless you, and I love you. See you in the next video. Bye.